Hey kids, welcome to another video. This is Module 4 and Grade 5, Lesson 20. Our objective today is to convert mixed unit measurements and solve multi-step word problems. And I think the last one's going to be a doozy. But anyway, this getting started warm-up activity is really just helping you count. Obviously, you should be able to count by ones. And then we should also recognize that counting by quarter units, half units can look a little bit different. And so if you were to count by halves, it might be 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves. But all the improper fractions actually make whole numbers. So 4 halves is equal to 2. And the improper fractions that don't make a whole number might make a mixed number, like 3 halves might make 1 1/2. So good practice is to skip count by all these different amounts. That's just a nice little warm-up. If you're a teacher watching these videos, great warm-up for the kids. Also, telling them just working with oral problems, like say, okay, 3 times 3 is what? And then how about 3 times 3/10? And how about 3/10 times 3/10? Kids should know how to write the answer properly, 0.09. When it's tenths times tenths, you should get hundreds. So all this is a great warm-up. Really, it shows if they understand place value, if they're putting the double-digit answers in the correct place value positions. Like 2/10 times 8/10 is 16/100. They should have the 0.16. But if we're doing thousandths, it should be 0.016 with the 6 in the thousandths place. There are a couple other things. Here is from my other notebooks. You know, I always have so many. Warm-up problems, just thinking about converting and different measurements. Again, use the page 167 in your Learn book for reference for going between like a one to another ratio, like 12 inches in a foot. Although I don't think that one's on there. I think we had to add that today. So 12 inches are in a foot, 3 feet are in a yard, but then it also has cups, pints, quarts, gallons, and it has some of the metric ones. For this one, how many feet are in 1 yard? Well, we know that there are 3 feet in a yard. You can show it in a tape diagram. These are always really helpful. 1 foot then is 1/3 of a yard. 2 feet would be 2/3 of a yard. And kind of so on, like if you have a fractional unit of a foot, like 5 inches, we know that that's less than a full foot. So it's 5/12 of a foot because we have 5 out of 12 inches in the foot. So nice warm-up stuff. Also, the application problem for this lesson is a great warm-up. But to really, really apply this, this is the practice stuff that's in the teacher's manual that's really good for the kids to do. This is applying the formula, and so here's my objective. Use the formula. Okay, we did the formula in the lesson 19 video. Go check it out. But that one has smaller to larger units, and so I want you to be aware that you can change from smaller to larger or larger to smaller. You can change from any type of unit to any other, but it's going to change the way that your conversion looks right here in the box. Okay. Also today we have not just whole numbers and not just fractions, but we have mixed numbers, which is going to involve a little bit of changing to an improper fraction. So if I have 4 1/3 yards equals how many feet? I know you see the answer, but pretend it's not there. You're going to take your 4 1/3, multiply by one of the old unit, yards, then take the 4 1/3 and multiply by the equivalent of the new. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. If I need my answer in feet, then what's the equivalent of 1 yard in the new unit? 3. Then you set it up again, fraction form. If you are comfortable, at some point you might use decimals, but certainly not here. 13/3 would not be a great decimal to work with. Set up your 13 times 3 over 3 and cross cancel if you can, and here you can. Then you get 13 over 1, which is just 13, and that's your final answer. See, right there. And there are a couple of others. 3 1/2 gallons equals how many quarts? Again, copy this, times 1 gallon, times the equivalent. And then also in yesterday's video, I have a great little graphic about cups, pints, quarts, gallons. So you should take a look at yesterday's video or the previous one for lesson 19. Go check it out. 4 quarts equal a gallon. And then you're going to take your mixed numbers and make improper fractions so that you can multiply, so that you can perhaps maybe simplify, which I could have done here, but I'm just trying to show you how to get through, and then do the division at the end. If you have anything that's a mixed number, make sure you simplify what you can. Another warm-up. 2 1/4 feet equals how many inches? Again, feet are larger than inches. So when you convert from feet, you're going to have a bigger number here, not a fraction of a number like we did in lesson 19. 2 1/4 times 1 foot, 2 1/4 times 12 inches. Convert or change this into an improper fraction. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. That's where the 9/4 comes from. Then look to cross cancel if you can. Okay, it's certainly easier to multiply 9 times 3 than it is to multiply 9 times 12. So we want to take care of all that beforehand if you can. And then if you do cross cancel the 4 and the 12, you get 1 and 3, and then you multiply and get 27. Anyway, it just makes things a whole lot easier if you can do it that way. Changing your mixed number to an improper fraction is something that works really well, very consistently. A lot of kids have no problems with it. But one thing that we're also going to be doing is taking our factors and kind of separating them into pieces. Notice that here I have another option to also get 27 by taking the 2 times 12 in one problem and then putting the 1/4 times 12 in a separate problem. So I'm literally splitting 2 1/4 into two pieces. Both pieces are going to multiply by 12. When I do that, it breaks up my numbers so that they're smaller, so I don't end up having to have the possibility of 9 times 12. If you don't understand that, I'll show you as we get into the book, and I'll try to make it easy for you. So page 243 is where lesson 20 problem set starts, and the first one is done for us. We're going to convert, show your work, express your answer, so many things. As a mixed number, draw a tape diagram if it helps you. I might have a tape diagram or two just to kind of, I think I'm going to look at the back. I think I might have one or two on the back. But anyway, hopefully we're moving past the tape diagrams and just getting into the math, the nitty-gritty right now. So look at this as our sample for, we're going to copy this. I have a lot of people trying to cut out steps and they're like, I know the answer. Yes, but it's not always going to be this easy. So get used to the process. The process is really where the important stuff is taking place. Now, also think about, I have large unit here and I'm changing it to smaller. Okay, quarts are smaller and the gallons are larger. So we have mixed up problems today. So we're going to have potentially small factors for our scale factor or potentially larger factors for our scale factor. Anyway, they've got this one set up. This is all done. If I need to, I'll reference back that. But this is just a copy. Multiply by 1 of the old, okay, times 1 of the old. And then this is going to be times the equivalent of the new. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. That's where they get the 3/2. 3 times 1 is 3 over 2 times 4, which is 8. 3/8 of a gallon. That's it for our answer. 3/8 of a gallon is our final number. That's it. Move on. Okay, 4 2/3 feet. 4 2/3 times 1 foot. 1 of the old. Okay, we need to find out how many inches that is. Okay, feet are large, inches are small. Okay, so when I take my 4 2/3 and I have to multiply how many inches are in 1 foot, that's going to be your 12 inches. And you should know that. If you don't know it, memorize it. 12 inches are in a foot. Now, how can I set this up so that I can multiply? Well, you can make an improper fraction. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2, 14/3 times 12 over 1. Here is work from many lessons ago, multiplying two fractions by each other. Look to cross-cancel. Remember that cross-canceling is really just using the commutative property to shift these numbers around to make compatible numbers. So if I have 12/3, it's really 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Okay? If you want to think about it this way, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now I have 14 times 4 over 1. And so 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And so it's 56 inches is our answer. There you go. Okay. Let's do another one. 9.5 times 1 pint. So right here we're going to change from pints to quarts. 9.5. So how many pints are, what is the equivalent of pints to quarts? Okay, it's not how many pints are in a quart, it's 1 pint is equivalent to what part of a quart? And it's half of my new measure. A lot of kids were actually choosing the whole number, and I was like, no, 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 be very careful. We need the equivalent of this with the new label. So change this to an improper fraction. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 19 halves times 1 half. There's nothing to cross cancel, so multiply straight across. 19 times 1 is 19, 2 times 2 is 4. Now this is improper. We're not going to leave it that way. We're going to change it to a mixed number. If I had more room, I would put it there, but I'm just going to make more space. 4 fits into 19 how many times? It almost goes 5 times because 5 times 4 is 20, but it's not. 4 times 4 is 16 with 3 left over. 17, 18, 19. And then 4 3/4 with your new label is your answer. Okay, hope you guys are catching on, keeping up. I know you'll get this. It's really just applying that formula. Just you keep those notes right in front of you. Okay, 3 3/5 hours equals how many minutes? Now, hours are pretty big, but minutes are, you know, for every hour, there's 60 minutes. So that's going to be a pretty big answer. 3 3/5 times 1 hour. And then 3 3/5, what's the equivalent of in minutes? 60 minutes. Take your mixed number and make an improper fraction. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3, 18/5 times 60 over 1. Always look to cross cancel, always. 5 does fit into 60, and you should know this because you can count by 5s and always get 10s and 5s. So that would be 12. And now I have a standard algorithm. Okay, if you want to set this up, it's going to be 18 times 12 over 1. Do this over here. It's double digit. So don't try to do it in your head. There are methods you could do, you know, like times 10 and then like 18 times 10 and then 2 times 18 and add those together. Yes, you can, but I always like to see the work, so if you make a mistake, I can help you fix it. 8 times 2 is 16, and then 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Hold this with a 0 because we're finished multiplying the ones. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. And then we're going to add these together. 6 comes down, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 2. 216 minutes. There you go. See, pretty big, but that makes sense. That's a good one. And 4 3/4, I know kids will say, you left it blank. Yeah, I don't really care. I circled it. Look. Okay. 3 2/3 feet times 1 foot. And then we're going to convert to yards. What's the equivalent? What's 1 foot connected to yards? Well, it's 1/3 of a yard. We're going from feet to yards, from smaller to bigger, so we're going to have fewer of that unit, so that makes sense. And then we've got our 3 2/3 as a mixed number, which we should turn into an improper fraction. So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11 times 1/3. Nothing to cross cancel here because 12 would be compatible, so 11 is not. So you just multiply and have 11 over 9. And then straighten that out into a mixed number. 9 fits into 11 one time with 2 left over. New label, 1 2/9 yards. Yay, you're getting the hang of this, right? No, we want to cry. We don't like this. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I didn't make these problems up. I am just trying to help you with them. Okay, good thing we have a lot of time left. These are kind of complicated. 3 dump trucks are carrying topsoil to a construction site. Oh, click subscribe. Take a moment, click subscribe, come back again. I really am trying to help you guys with all this math. Click subscribe, come back. You'll be notified when I upload a new video. Okay, they're carrying topsoil to a construction site. Truck A carries 3,545 pounds. Truck B carries 1,758 pounds. And Truck C carries 3,697 pounds. How many tons of topsoil are the 3 trucks carrying altogether? Well, they're all carrying pounds of soil. So we can combine the 3 trucks' pounds of soil. So let's do that for step 1. 3,545. It's important to line up place value when adding, okay? 1,758 and 3,697. Please be neat. Line everything up straight up and down. Now it's time to add 8 and 7, 15 and 520. And 9 and 9 are 18 plus 2, 20. And 13, 14, 15, and 5 is 20. I see a pattern here. 3 and 3 is 6, 7, 8, 9. So what do I have here? All of these are pounds. And so I have 9,000 pounds that are in the 3 trucks together. But that's nice, but they're asking us about tons. So I have to take our 9,000 pounds and say, how many tons is that? So give yourself a big blank. And now we're going to apply the formula. We're going to use the formula. Don't be afraid. Times 1 pound, olb, right there. Okay. Now, this is where you might need your reference sheet. And, okay, it's 1 pound. That's right. I'm like, what is it? I almost forgot. 9,000 times 1 pound is 1 out of 2,000 of tons. Okay, so what is it? It takes 2,000 pounds to make 1 ton. So 1 pound is 1/2,000th of a ton. So now we have our 9,000 times 1/2,000th. So you just multiply and you get 9,000 over 2,000 tons. And so this should look really not too hard, because you know what you can do? Since they both have 3 zeros, if you were to divide both by 1,000, guess what you would have? You would have 9 divided by 2. And that's a really easy problem. 2 fits into 9 4 times because that'd be 8 with 1 left over. And so it's going to be 4.5 tons of topsoil. Ta-da! That wasn't so bad, was it? Nope, not too bad. All right, let's do the next one. Melissa buys 3 3/4 gallons of iced tea. Danita buys 7 quarts. Oh, watch out! Quarts and gallons. Danita buys 7 quarts more than Melissa. Okay, notice it's not the same measuring unit. Okay, warning, warning. How much tea do they buy altogether? And express your answer in quarts. Okay, well, what I'd like to do is just take my gallons and call it quarts and do the conversion. I also need to combine and figure out how much tea Danita buys, because Danita didn't buy 7 quarts. She bought 7 quarts more than Melissa, and Melissa's answer is in gallons. So 3 3/4 gallons. I would like to know how many quarts that is. So take and use your formula times 1 of the old, and then times the equivalent of the new. Now, 1 gallon equals what in relation to quarts? If you said 4, you are right. Okay, if you were searching on page 167, that's fine. You'll get there. And then, okay, when there are 2 things we can do, you can take it apart and you can multiply 3 times 4 and then 3/4 times 4. That works. But I think we're going to have a lot of stuff here, so I'm going to go ahead and change it to an improper fraction. 4 times 3 is 12, 13, 14, 15. Times 4, we can cross cancel, and we end up with 15 quarts. Okay, so let's make a little tape diagram so I can show you what's happening here. Melissa buys 3 3/4 gallons of iced tea. Now this is her 3 3/4 gallons, which we can now label equal to 15 quarts. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, it's the same. Now Danita, this is Melissa, and here's Danita. Danita buys 7 quarts more than Melissa. Okay, so who buys more? Danita. So if she buys 7 quarts more, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the same 15 quarts. Don't use 3 3/4, use 15 quarts, because we're going to combine with 7 quarts more. So Danita has how many total quarts? And if you said 22, you're right. Okay. How much tea do they buy altogether? Express your answer in quarts. Now I just have a simple addition problem. And label with quarts, M and D. Melissa and Danita have 37 quarts altogether. ALTOGETHER. There you go. So not too bad. There are a couple different ways. We'll do the next one. The next one's kind of long. And I'll show you how to separate when we multiply instead of doing an improper fraction. Okay. Take a deep breath. Marvin buys a hose that is 27 3/4 feet long. Okay, so he's going to buy one. But he already owns a hose at home that is 2/3 the length of, keyword, the new hose. How many total yards, changing the unit, of hose does Marvin have now? So we're just going to combine the home hose with the new hose, but the new hose and the home hose, we're going to combine those two, but we don't know how long the hose is at home, so we have to figure that out. 2/3 of this length is what we need to find out. So let's make a little tape diagram so you can see. He buys a hose that's 27 3/4 feet new. He already owns a hose at home that is 2/3 that. Home hose. Okay. Total yards, that's going to be this one plus that. So let's do our 2/3 of the amount. Here we go. 27 3/4. So this is a multiplication, and this is where I'm going to split it apart because, why would I want to do that? Because multiplying or changing this mixed number, remember how I said things are going to get bigger? It's bigger. Changing this mixed number into an improper fraction would start with 4 times 27 plus 3. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. Watch. I'm going to do 2/3 times part of it, and then 2/3 times the other part. That's right. I'm going to split out these two pieces separately. How can I do that? I'm going to use PEMDAS. Okay, I'm going to take 2/3 times 27. Oh, look at that. And then I'm going to combine that with the other portion, 2/3 times 3/4. Now, why am I going to do it this way? I'll show you with the cross canceling. Here's why. Instead of having a big gigantic numerator, I'm going to break down my problem through simplification. 1 and 9. Okay, so 2 times 9 is 18. 18 over 1 is 18. And I can cross cancel all over the place here. 2 and 4. 3 divided by 3 is 1 for each of those, and 2 and 4 would make 1/2. So look, I end up with 18 and a half, and that's the the length of the home hose. It's 2/3 of 27 3/4. If 27 was broken into 3 parts, this would be 2 of them. 18.5 feet. And we haven't done any changing with measurements yet. Okay? Now, next step. I know that I have 27 3/4 feet for the new hose, and I know that the home hose is 18.5, but I need to have the total amount of feet so that I can convert that to yards. So let's do another step here. Add these two. Okay, because these are like units. These are feet and these are feet, so I can combine them. When you combine fractions or mixed numbers, you have to have common denominators. We haven't done that in a little while. But you also can combine the whole numbers first. So 8 and 7 make 15, carry the 1, 2, 3, 4, 45. So my whole numbers are done. Now I have to add 3/4 and 1/2. Now when I add the 1/2, instead of putting 1/2, I'm going to change to 2/4. Okay, I'm just doing that in my head. I'm not even going to write it because I know that 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. And I need to have fourths so that I can combine them. 3 and 2 make 5. So 5/4 all by itself is going to be 1 and 1/4. So to add 45 plus 5/4, I would get 46 and 1/4. And I'm still dealing with feet. Okay, now I have to change my 46 and 1/4 feet into yards because I still have to convert. And the final part, it says, show your answer in yards. I think it's just mean, but anyway, that's what they're doing. 46 and 1/4 feet equals blank yards. We're finally at the last step. 46 and 1/4 times 1 of the old unit. You've got this, we're so close. 46 and 1/4 times the equivalent of the new. What is 1 foot in relation to yards? What's the equivalent? It is only 1 out of 3 parts. So if 1/3 is your other factor, and again, here is another opportunity to, if I had to multiply 4 times 46, I get a really big number, or I can kind of take it apart and do the 46 times 1/3 and then 1/4 times 1/3. I always want to think about if I can simplify and cross cancel. In the previous problem, I knew I could simplify because 27 is a multiple of 3 and 2 is a factor of 4. Now when I look at this and I think about 46 and what I will have to cross cancel with, 3 is not necessarily going to be very helpful. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use a really big number. So 46 times 4. Okay, 6 times 4 is 24. And then 16, 17, 18. I have 184 plus 1, 185 over 4. See what I mean by they get really big? Times 1/3. Now, if there's any way I could cross cancel, I really want to look for it. But 18 is divisible by 3, but 5 is not. So go ahead and multiply that across. Get 185 over 12. And now I have a big standard division problem. Standard algorithm. 12 goes into 18 one time. Subtract. I see 65 is very, very close because 5 times 12 is 60. Pardon all the words down there. Just blaze right through them. I have 5 left over. I've done all my bringing down. So 15 and 5/12 is what we have now. And that is our final answer. And label it in yards. Don't forget that. That's really the most important part. So it's 15 and 5/12 yards of hose altogether. Yay. And that was a doozy, but kind of fun too. So I hope you guys are enjoying these and I hope they're helpful and I will see you on the next one. Come back again. Bye.